Tonight on Unplugged with Aaron Knapp, we have the Carrion collision, how minutes became a weapon and the truth fights back.
Well, hello there to all the good people of Ohio and beyond. This is Aaron Knapp, and you're tuned into Unplugged, broadcasting without permission. This is a place where the truth gets louder and we dig deeper, and where we always remember be lawful, not awful. If you want the full stories, the documents, the videos, and everything they don't want you to see, head on over to AaronKnappUnplugged.com, my new home for every investigation, every episode, and every update. And while you're here, be sure to like the video, follow the page, and hit subscribe, and share this with someone who needs the truth. We're building something real here. We're building something fearless, and we're doing it together. Welcome to Unplugged. Let's kick this thing off.
Plug with Nap. Yeah, we cut through the noise. No script, no leash, no polished decoys. Broadcasting without permission. We don't ask. We lift the curtain and we drop the mask. Unplug with Nap. Yeah, we cut through the noise. No script, no leash, no polished decoys. Broadcasting without permission. We don't ask. We lift the curtain and we drop the mask. Unplug with Nap. Yeah.
Hello there, everybody. How's it going tonight? Welcome to another episode, an exciting episode of Unplugged with Knapp. That's right, it's Aaron Knapp here, your favorite anti-hero. For all those out you who are watching who like me, welcome back to the house. Appreciate you guys here. For those of you that don't like me, welcome. Enjoy your time here. In the end, it doesn't matter. We're all here to learn something, hopefully, and so let's kick it off tonight with a little bit of understanding. So, good people of Ohio and beyond, this is Aaron Knapp, and you're tuned in with Unplugged, broadcasting without permission, exposing the truth, one record and one encounter at a time. And as always, being lawful, not awful. Tonight, we're digging deep, and we're diving deep into how a government uses meetings, minutes, and the like as a weapon. And not to tell the truth, but to rewrite it. Now, this is the story of the Carrion collision and how the truth survived despite being written out of the record twice. Tonight's episode is built from audio, body camera footage from my good friend Garen Petty, and official city records. Everything I refer to is now available at www.aaronKnappUnplugged.com. That's right, www.aaronKnappUnplugged.com, at our new website where you can find everything, including this podcast once it's done. And my Substack will also still notify you. I'm going to go ahead and put a little notification in and add a link to the new page every single time. But all the full content now lives under my control at the other site. This is how we avoid, worrying about censors, and also how we avoid having people have to use their email addresses to sign up. It felt like sort of like a paywall to people getting to the content. And I didn't want anybody to feel like they had to give their email or any sort of information to get into the content. So now you can find it here on that platform. So anyway. So we're rolling in our next section here, and it's segment 1. So what happened? Let's set the stage. It was October 20th, 2025, Lorain City Hall, and it was a public meeting. I finished my comment, and I returned to my seat, and, that night. And so during the end process of the meeting, Mr. Carrion had the floor, and he was answering some questions of Council at Large Sylvia Duvall. And I was sitting next to Garen, and Carrion had said something to the regards of, basically, we don't typically refund fees or do this process. And so I looked over at Garen, and I was like, why do we? And now, to be honest, you think about it, every single time someone's been in that council meeting, that people have scoffed, made noises, done all these different things. And, I'm not one to ever be, I've never disrupted a meeting. I've never been outspoken at it except for at the microphone. Now, every single time I've ever had to speak to someone has been because of a member of council addressing me. One time it occurred with Joelle addressing me, telling me that I couldn't stand or sit unless I was a police officer, which was just ridiculous. This time it was Carrion addressing me. And everyone can say what they want. I leaned over to Garen and I just said, then why don't we? Now, you can barely hear it on the body cam and on my phone. And you faintly hear Carrion responding back, which is, do you have something to say? Or no, did you say something? He says. And he's looking right at me. So I'm like, yeah, I did. But you guys got to understand, and we'll get to this later in the podcast, but you can't just do that. He held the floor at that moment. If he wanted to speak to me, which I was under no obligation to respond and not a member of that quorum, he could have said, through the chair. That would have been, if there was a disturbance, that would have been Joelle's move. Joelle had moved on, was like, thank you, and was moving on. Nothing needed to be said. I wasn't going to repeat myself. I was talking to Garen, and he heard me because he was sitting right next to me. And so it wasn't meant to be loud or disruptive. I do talk, a certain level, and I do have, to wear this fine little hearing aid thing that I still really don't figure out how to use that well. But bottom line is that it makes me loud. And so, I wasn't being disruptive. The mic barely picked it up. I know my picked it up, my phone, which was over by the media area. And I know that Garen's body camera picked it up. But what came next, that wasn't quiet, right? That was our safety service director, Ray Carrion, who was currently holding the floor. He suddenly yells across the room loudly, like did you say something? And then he says, did you say something? I come back with, the first, after I had said it to Garen, I said, then why don't we? And then Carrion says, did you say something? And he's looking right at me. And I said, then why don't we? Again, in that same, a little bit louder tone this time to try to say it to him. But then Ray elevates again. He's like, did you say something? Now you clearly hear that on my video and in Garen's body cam. Now they've somehow managed to cut that out of the city video. And then I said for a third time, why don't we? And this time I was loud enough for him to hear. And he's like, did you say something? And so 3 separate times he said it, 3 separate times I guess 2 separate times I answered. The third time I came back with, the carry on you work for me bit. The body capper, it captured it all. Garen had it on. It was watching the whole thing. So did my own audio file, which again, my phone was sitting right up there as I said it. Every meeting to record the meeting for the Lorain Daily when they're not there. And so I happened to be recording that day. And, so my phone and the body camera both caught it. I was sitting there quietly. He confronted me and it was aggressive and it was from across the room. Listen, I've told, in fact, I think, no, it wasn't that in the next meeting. I told you guys again, but you guys can't just yell stuff at me like it's vaudeville. I'm going to respond. I told you numerous times, I have PTSD. I don't do that well when I'm being yelled at. I had, the assistant chief of police sitting right behind me, AJ. I mean, there was no issue. Joelle had moved on. Carrion I'm going to be honest, it looked like he snapped. I get it. My daughter, when I told her about it, she was like, I feel his pain. She goes, there's been a few times where I've been, arguing with you about something and so I get it. He was mad. I had filed this lawsuit. They probably just found out about it. And honestly, I get it. I haven't been his biggest fan because he didn't do what he promised me. But it's still, no matter how you want to look at this, he is the government official. It doesn't go this way to this. It goes that way to this. And so when you say things like, oh, well, you instigate it. Well, I can't instigate my government without, unless now, if I came in and was yelling unreasonable obscenities at him, even though that would be constitutionally protected, it would be disrupting the meeting. It would be loud, boisterous, disruptive behavior. It would be the exact thing that Mr. Steed wants it to be. But when, you're leaning over and you're like, then why don't we? And that's when Mr. Carrion decides he's going to address me. Then, and again, from like 40 feet away. So it felt aggressive. It looked aggressive. I saw him from where I was sitting. He grabbed the edge of the, the table like that, was just gripping on for dear life. Only after being shouted at did I reply, then why are we? And then, and then at the end there, I said, and you work for me, Carrion. Now, Matthew Steed wants you to believe that I stood up and was like doing all this at him. But in reality, I was sitting with my arms around the back of the chair like this, holding on. Once, I've said this 1,000 times, once you get me, you confront me, I'm going to freeze right where I'm at, which is another reason why I didn't want to get up and walk out of the chamber. They all acted like, I had a choice in the matter. Anyway, I digress. We'll get to that. So even council member Springowski gets up, and you hear it in the recording. You hear Springowski, you hear Bradley. I think you hear one other person's voice quietly saying, Ray, Ray, Ray. Oh yeah, you hear Demakia's voice, Ray, 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 right? So they're definitively trying to calm him down. He had to turn around, not face the audience, and then Mary starts rubbing his back with her left hand. Like there was all this, or maybe it was her right, I don't know. There was this whole kibosh. Everybody like freaked out. But everyone fails to realize that basically it happened. Ray said his thing 3 times. I said my thing 3 times. I whispered in Garen's ear to begin it. He heard it. He got mad. And then he started the segment of addressing, the whole thing of addressing me. And so we ended up at this impasse where, at that last one, I repeated myself a couple of times and he had heard me. And that's when he was looking really mad at me. And that's when I was like, do it. Like, because again, I felt like he was just going to hurt me. I don't know. I know he wasn't. That's ridiculous. I would think that he wouldn't be that brazen. But if he could have in that moment, he would. If looks could kill, I would have been incinerated in that moment. I get it. But you can't do that when you're a safety service director. You're in charge of people feeling secure and safe in the building, and you get mad. And even if we were to believe Matthew Steed's claim of, well, he instigated, well, I can't instigate my government, but he's supposed to have the cooler head. You can't just yell at me like that. I'm not going to move on. I'm not going to, it's never going to work out okay for you. Well, I'm going to get to some more sections here in a little bit where I'm able to expand upon that a little bit better. But, he did that. And when you listen to the city audio, they cut theirs off. You hear it right when he's supposed to say what he's supposed to say, and his stuff goes away. And then all you hear is them talking about me. I don't either know if they knew it. They had to know it, but we had the camera, we had the phone going, we had the evidence, and they just tried to change it. We changed the whole narrative. Because, again, they charged Carrion with disturbing and all this other stuff, and he wasn't even doing it during a meeting. You got to realize this is during an ongoing meeting. So now what they published was strong and controlled. They had 2 things. First, it was the first set of draft minutes that I went there to complain about on the night that Tia bombed me. Now, what did they publish? Initially, it was draft minutes. When it showed up in the minutes, not once, but twice. And so I corrected them because the first time around, they had in this section where it talked about the minute meeting recess. So at some point in here, you'll hear it because I'm going to play you the clip. They recess the meeting. Now, you have to understand when they recess the meeting, the control of the building falls back to Ray Carrion. Now, I understand these rules definitively. I know some of them out there. I think it was like Ben Davies or something online earlier was challenging me and saying that I lie about laws and all that stuff. Look, guys, that's the one thing I don't lie about. I got a whole giant book back here of, penal codes that I read. I'm a real boring individual. I read constitutional criminal procedure. I'm well aware of what the rules are in every building that I'm in. I know that City Hall of Lorain is a public building. I know that I have the right to go anywhere I want in that public building in any common area at any time that building is open during business hours, sans any sort of current restrictions that have been posted legally. Just like I know when James went up there recording and Mr. Mihawk decided to bust them for recording on that second floor. He had every right to record at the clerk's window his transactions and government employees at work. Mr. Mihawk was wrong. I can go up to any floor. This started in the beginning because they didn't want to let me walk in, and Swanger was asking me where I was going, and all these people wanted to touch me. And again, I go back to that. Everyone in Lorain thinks it's okay to touch people. They have this blue envelope program with the state patrol now. They had something like that. It'd have been amazing if the officers had been trained to be nice and polite instead of jerks, and they want to touch you before they even get a chance to identify who they are and that they're officers. But I digress. So, I can go in there, can be in all these different areas. I understand Ray controls the building. So the second they recessed it, Ray fell back in control. And not that I was capable of moving, because Ray had already pretty much shocked my system into freeze. When I finally left and I brought Garen with me, that was when I was able, everything started calming down and Ray left the building. Once Ray left the building with Mayor Bradley, I was able to get up and go. Now that I think about that in hindsight, thank you, Mayor Bradley, for removing Ray, because I was standing there stubbornly. I was sitting there actually stubbornly saying, I will go if he says leave. That's what Garen was saying too, because we both knew that from multiple rulings from, Law Director Riley and others, they had made it very clear that Ray Carrion was the only one with power and jurisdiction over that building. Not only to us, but others. Like they had said it in meetings. They said it to Mayor Springowski. It's very clear Ray has the power. And if not Ray, the assistant guy who was Tim Williams, who was there that day, and he stood there and just scowled at us and did nothing. Mayor Bradley came over and he brought us Rule 47, which only applies during ongoing council meeting minutes. He arguably was like, dude, I don't even want to be here today. Like, today's my day off. No, I'm just kidding. It wasn't his day off. But, that man's taken over in a role he hasn't, had. And you can tell he's really working hard at it. It stresses him out a little bit. He never really had done the meeting. So I was kind of helping him out in that aspect. But when they shut the meeting down, it was kind of, wham, bam, thank you, man. Ray and I had already finished our little thing. Had Mary not said anything, Joelle was already moving on, and it wouldn't have occurred. Like, we wouldn't even have stopped. But Mary got up, walked across the floor, shut the meeting down, was very vague about why she was shutting it down. But she was the one saying Ray, 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 as well as the others, that they've somehow managed to mute out of the city's feed, which I find amazing. So in their meeting minutes, they put this BS twice. They say, audience member Aaron Knapp. Then why are we? Then nothing. Audience member Aaron Knapp. You work for me, Carrion. President Arredondo. Let us have it. Cease. Audience member Aaron Knapp. No, your employee addressed me. I mean, that's what they say to me twice. I mean, I don't know. You tell me.
Down to all of our departments and assure that as part of our regular checklist that we have for many projects, that we can visit this. This is not a common area because we typically don't waive fees. So it's one of those areas that we'll revisit here as we move along.
Thank you, Mr. Carrion.
Say something?
Then why are we?
Say something?
Then why are we? You want to
Mr.
get
Knapp.
an attitude? You work for me, Carrion. Yeah, get it. Do it.
Mr. Knapp, let's have it.
No, your employee is addressing me, sir.
Safe.
No.
Excuse me, President Arredondo?
You better calm down, bro.
President Arredondo?
Madam Sprigowski.
At this point, I would move to a point of order and ask that you recess the meeting until this gets all straightened out, because this is disruptive to our agenda.
I mean, there you have it. That's the recording. You clearly hear them, doing their little bit at the end there. So there's these other pieces missing from that where he's saying, did you say something? So it should really read a different way, right? But that's what they published twice. So again, what's missing? All 3 times that Carrion yelled at me, Springowski trying to calm him down, that I stayed seated, that an employee, not a citizen, created this disruption. Even when you listen to the audio feed, they erased his words and kept mine. When you listen to the documentation, they erased his words and kept mine. That's not accurate documentation, folks. That's what we call narrative construction. That's not okay. I mean, you just don't get to do that. So, they broke the law, folks. Once again, I know you guys don't like to hear that. And it sucks because they would hold Garen accountable. They would hold each and every one of you accountable. If given the opportunity, they would hold me accountable and would try to if I didn't record everything that I did. But the law that they broke, it's authoritative. Under Ohio law, to my knowledge, now I'll have to go back and double check, but you guys can double check me if you want. Look up RC 121.22C. The minutes must reflect what's happening during the meeting. Then look up RC 149.43B. Section 1 prohibits any public office from altering a record to misrepresent what it shows. The city removed the truth, folks, and it replaced it with a material that is not supposed to be included. They even inserted a fake fix. So initially they had in there all the conversations between me, AJ, the mayor, everything that was said during the recess, but the notes are only supposed to accurately reflect what's in the notes. So that's what happened during the meeting. The meeting was adjourned at that point. They adjourned it. The responsibility for the building did fall back to Ray. I was well aware of that. And so Ray, who was still in the building, I couldn't get up and walk away from because he'd already yelled at me in what I felt was a very aggressive manner. And we all see I'm not a fighter. And I do have PTSD. And why wouldn't I be scared after all the things that have happened and all the ways that I've been treated and all the times I've been yelled at and cussed at and screamed at in that room, and you guys have let it happen? And I whisper something to Garen in my whisper voice, which really is the same voice, but I try. I mean, it is my tone. Even when you think I'm yelling, like I could be at this loud right here and I'm not yelling. Like, to me, this is not yelling. I know it sounds like I'm yelling, but I'm not. So, I mean, that's the problem, is that like my tone is just off. But anyway, I digress. So they took all of that stuff out because on the November 2nd meeting or third, I think it was, we went, and that was the one where Tia totally blasted me, cursed me out, where she like yelled at me and stuff. You guys remember that one, right?
I just want to remind people that your voice does matter, and people like that charge should not be in office, in my most humble opinion. If he just gets up here and bashes a damn former police chief. I'm talking. So anyways, I'm going to finish what I'm saying because I don't ever come here anymore.
I don't see Mary stopping anybody.
In my most humble opinion, a piece of shit.
Look how long this goes on for.
No. He causes trouble. He's a fucking guy.
causes trouble.
By the way, I'm Eva. Bitch.
So they let that fly, right? But, they're not going to.
Down to all of our departments and assure that as part of our regular checklist that we have for many projects, that we can visit this.
This is okay.
This is not a common area because we typically don't wait fees. So it's one of those areas that we'll revisit here as we move along.
Thank you, Mr. Carrion.
Anything? Say something?
Then why are we?
Say something?
Then why are we? You
Mr.
want to get
Knapp.
an attitude? You work for me, Carrion. Yeah, get it. Do it.
Mr. Knapp, let's have it.
No, your employee is addressing me, sir. No.
Excuse me, President Arredondo.
You better calm down, bro.
President Arredondo.
Madam Spurgowski.
At this point, I would move to a point of order and ask that you recess the meeting until this gets all straightened out, because this is disruptive to our agenda.
Now, again, it wasn't disruptive to their agenda when Tia Hilton came in and blasted me both barrels, right? We're cool with that. Okay, just checking. So, so they inserted this fake fix in the new minutes that they put out that are supposed to be approved tomorrow. And yeah, I will be there. And yeah, you publish these and you will get sued again. Events during the recess were recorded and available upon request. Interesting. That's an interesting statement. I've never seen anything like that in any of their other minutes. But events during the recess are not allowed to be included under the Open Meetings Act. They got it backwards and illegal. They removed what they must say. They added what must not appear. And the problem is that it's not a clerical error, folks. This is straight up intent. So I don't even know what to tell you there. Now we're going to address, some of the false claims that have been floating around out there. I know a lot of people go online, they talk a lot of crap. Matthew Steed's one of them. He's called me Hitler and all these other things. And the bottom line is he's mad because he drove around in this clunky, his clunky little truck with his big sign on the back of it. And I made a comment about it one day because of talking about other signs that weren't supposed to be used that way. And he got all butthurt, and then it's just been a crazy train ever since then. He straight up admitted it's his animosity. He totally dislikes me. I don't even know the guy. But let's address the misinformation and some of the names. So, he comes out, Matthew Steed. He says, since you whispered first, that gave basically the right to Carrion to address you. Well, wrong. Every rule that governs Lorain Roberts rules, the ORC, and only the chair recognizes speakers and determines order. So another claim he made was, you stood up aggressively and yelled, Carrion, you work for me. That's false. The video shows, as does Garen's audio or video camera, body camera, that is pointed upward, that I stayed seated the whole time. I didn't yell. I might have pointed. I don't know. I point a lot when I talk, so the only aggressive tone came from the dais. Yeah, I responded back harshly with, you work for me, but that's just a fact. I didn't stand up aggressively to yell it. Like, he does work for me. But you're going to get that kind of a tone every time. I use that tone like a person would to scare off a wild animal. You get a little louder to stop the wild bull or the wild bear from charging you. You scream at it, right? Become bigger. Ah! And, that's kind of what was going on there. And so, just saying, the video, the audio, the files that they don't, I guess, think that we have, just seriously, they show that. They show exactly what happened. And it's, I see where the city cut it out verbally. I get that. But y'all edited the minutes, like the video. We have downloaded the copy of it, so you can't change it now. But you cut out that little bit. And I know this because the part about Springowski and everyone going, Ray, like, that's nowhere to be found in your video you published online. So you've already violated in my opinion, the Open Meetings Act, and you've already slandered me. which is going to be a problem, for you. I don't know what you guys think is going to happen when it comes to my documentation. My documentation of what I do is solid. My quotation of the laws is solid. I'm not out here giving you guys a bunch of lies. If you take the time to double check what I say, to fact check anything, to read my articles, to actually listen to me instead of just jumping down my throat every chance you get, you might actually learn something. So I'm just going to say this is Unplugged with Aaron Knapp. Everything I've referenced tonight is available right now for you for free. All of you guys can go there right now. You don't have to pay anything at this point. You don't have to do anything at this point. You don't have to even put your email down anymore at the Substack. And if you're a Substack member and you just got here, welcome. I welcome you from there. I know I had about 300 of you over there. I'd like to see you guys over here. So if you're here right now, maybe I know I'm recording this, but throw a shout out in the comments so I see it that you came from the Substack. Let me know. And if you're here from other means, shout that out too. Let me know where you guys came from. Let me know where you're viewing from. And make sure you share this with your friends. This and the page. But go to the page, www.aaronknapp, that's AARONKNAPP, unplugged.com. That's AARON, King Nora Adam Paul for the final spelling, and then Unplugged is Union Nora Paul Lima Union George Edward David.com. The Substack will forward links only from now on. The full truth will live on the website, and that's where I've taken all of the current stuff that's supposed to be, in there. So in a moment here, we're going to pause for a second for station identification and sponsor identification. But we're going to throw a couple of things up for you real quick. If you feel like you want to donate to the cause, there you go. There's a little scan to code, the QR code you can donate to. I have a Venmo and a PayPal attached to that QR code, so feel free if you want to donate, scan that QR code and donate to keep free news free-ish and support the cause. Also, we want to recognize our sponsors tonight, which are kind of unofficial, but even so.
Here at Unplugged with Aaron Knapp, we like to thank our sponsors. We have a few unofficial sponsors tonight, and they are definitely not paid sponsorships. I want to throw out there a big thank you to Joseph Jones and Eric Jones of the Lorain Daily and the Vermilion Daily. They have a local news page. You should check them out. They do plenty of great work broadcasting all the news that is the news that you want to have in Lorain and Lorain County. So check them out. Also, please, if you need any legal services, feel free to reach out to Robert Gargas. You can find him listed online. He's a fine attorney and comes highly recommended by yours truly. And last but not least, I want to mention D&C Radio. Please make sure you check out one of the up-and-coming internet hip-hop stations and all of their shows. They put on a lot of shows. You have the Never Outdone show. You also have the Eric Bowen show, Speak Up, Speak Out. So please make sure you guys check them out as well if you're looking for your latest and up-to-date hip-hop artistry. Thank you for tuning in. This has been a non-paid sponsorship brought to you by Unplugged with Aaron Knapp. Here at
God almighty, that was a horrible, horrible sound effect. Acoustic cinematic. Welcome back there, folks. Welcome back this comes into our fifth segment of the podcast here. Again, thank you to all our unofficial sponsors. Again, if you guys need any legal assistance, check out Robert Gargas Law. He's accepting new clients right now. You can find him at Cooper Foster Parkway. And also check out DNC Radio. Again, like I said, you can find them on the internet. They're an internet radio, up and coming. And they put a lot of new artistry out, and they have a lot of great programming that is local content that has to do with civil issues that you might find useful. So I would check out any one of their shows. Eric Bowen's show, the Neva Dunn show. They're doing great work out there. So be sure to check them out. So the formal complaint is segment 5. Right after the incident, I did submit a formal written complaint. And it reads in part, and you can find the full one in my story online at the website. But during the meeting, Safety Service Director Ray Carrion became visibly angry and yelled at me while he was holding the floor. And he was holding the floor, folks. That's important to note. He could have addressed through the chair if he wanted to address me. But me saying, why don't we, really irked him. I mean, to be honest, I can't figure out why he got so angry over that one little statement, considering all the things that have ever been said in there. I have to assume maybe they had just gotten served with the lawsuit that day and he was mad, something, because he snapped. That being said, maybe he just having a bad day. But his aggressive behavior caused significant distress in me, and this is unacceptable. All of this is recorded. By the way, a little bit of that was ad-libbed there in the middle, because that wasn't in the complaint. That was me opining on the moment. And as I asked in the complaint, I said, I expect the same treatment you gave others. I am requesting charges be considered. So, I don't know, I'm waiting to hear back from AJ. He said he's going to get back to me next week probably in regards to it. There's a detective looking into it. But I really don't have any hope that they're going to do anything, considering they've already changed the verbal record, tried to at least the minutes, and I'm trying to correct that, as well as changed apparently the audio that they have. Now, I have mine, and I have Garen's body camera. Doesn't really seem like they did much investigating. They didn't really talk to witnesses like they did with Garen. I mean, they brought in all counsel and recorded them. But for me, they rewrote the record twice. Okay, I guess. I mean, so then I gave him a final notice before filing. After the flawed draft minutes came out in this last one, I sent this. I said, hey, I told him, this is your legal notice before filing. Remove what does not belong. Include what must remain, or I will file under the OMA, Public Records Act, and defamation law. I feel like they're going to ignore it. I don't know. We'll see. I have filed a lawsuit on the federal stuff. I do feel like Carrion instigated this confrontation. Minutes have been altered now twice, and they have posted them. They didn't approve them, but they posted them. They put them in writing. They put them online. Both he and, Karen and Brandon Bradley have voted to approve defense funds for McCann and Levesque in our lawsuit without recusal. And that's going to be problematic because in Aaron Knapp versus Lorain et al., which is Bradley, Levesque, Carrion, McCann, and Weitzel, all the people that participated in hiding the emails that they hid from me for 2 years or wouldn't produce or participated in this farce, were in it. And so now you've got Mayor Bradley and Mr. Carrion in the last control meeting. They voted to approve defense funds for both of them. I've got the minutes. It's in the story. They voted. I don't think that's legal at all. Like, how are 2 of the 5 co-defendants who are being civilly sued personally, not in their official capacities, authorizing taxpayer dollars and city funds to be moved to defend 2 of their co-defendants, one of who retired in shame? This isn't just retaliation, folks. Now it's documented, it's obvious, and it's public. And if you think this is where it ends, it isn't, and it doesn't. Something powerful happens when the truth pushes back, folks. And, tonight is showing you these receipts. They don't know what to do with themselves, right? They've been dealing with me coming at them. They've been dealing with me, writing story after story after story, and they just can't anymore. They can't hide from the truth. They thought that they would destroy me when they stole my job at Crossroads. They thought that they would destroy me when they came after my latest personal job, because I guarantee you, I know why they stopped contracting with me. I had gotten the message that they were getting calls from people like Tia Hilton who were making brash claims about me, the same brash claims she made to the people in my CDCA board that I got investigated by. The same board that she talked to James McCann in emails I've recently received about, and how he said good luck because, the other board didn't do anything, talking about my social work board that he went after me at. I've had to put up with multitude of people harassing me, calling me names, showing up in my house, making homophobic slurs, making disability remarks when I am disabled. Say what you want, but I'm disabled. So when you make those comments, it is a bit belittling. But okay, I guess you just respect some veterans. Yeah, right. I get that too. Folks, like, if you don't see the weaponization of this and the way that people are now, they keep coming at me online, and everybody says, "Oh, he's dramatic. He loves the drama. He's this, he's that." Well, I'm not wrong. And I'm really not all that dramatic. Yeah, sure. I play some characters in these videos for people so that people can be interested. You got to have a gig. You got to be people interested. You got to, you got to bust out, as Garen likes to say, puppets once in a while, because he loves my little puppets that I brought out. No, I'm not bringing Frank out. But you got to understand that you have to do these things. Bring yourself, Howard Sternish, shock jockish to the forefront of people's minds in the beginning. Now, when I was being nice, no one was listening to me, and that's why McCann crapped on me. That's why he saw me as weak, and that's why he and others continued to crap on me. They thought they were going to win when they beat me down at the madhouse. I could never fight back there or any of the times that I've been in any of these places, because I knew I was running for office, and the first time I swung, which was what they wanted, I was going to be the end of it. Was going to be all over the news. And it still was, even though I didn't fight back in the madhouse. And any other time anyone's done it, I've never fought back. They like to bring up all these other times. Oh, this happened here, this happened there. Yeah. And look, in each one of them, I never raised a hand. I push people to get them off me, but I just stand still. I don't understand why everyone in Ohio is so violent and so touchy-feely. Like, I don't touch you, push you, come at you aggressively. I speak in certain tones, but it's not aggressive. I'm not an aggressive person. Say what you want. But every single time something's happened, someone's approached me from behind. I'm still hoping Angel's going to provide me with that video of that guy trying to assault me at that place that he says he has. But I don't expect him to want to follow the law, right? It was brought to my attention. I mean, maybe he was there. I didn't see him in the pictures, but the Hispanic Veterans Memorial came and went, and he wasn't there. Granted, I wasn't there, but I had things going on. My kid's been sick and yada, yada, yada. So, and honestly, I don't really feel welcome at a lot of places, to be truthful. It's full of people who I'm either suing or have crapped on me. In the grand scheme of things, though, what have I really been wrong about? Like, I broke the Rivera story. I've given you all the information on that. If anything, you're mad because I burst your bubble. And I'm not just attacking one side or the other. Everyone, oh, you hate Mary, you hate this. I don't hate any of these people. What I hate is government wasteful spending. I hate blowing money on lawsuits. I mean, I want you guys to consider this. How much money goes out in our general fund to these lawsuits? And sure, yes, I get it. Hypocritical, Aaron. You're suing the city. let me be very clear about this. They told me to do it multiple times. I have emails from McCann. They're going to look so great in federal court when we start doing the depositions. And I'm like, so did you say this in email? I have no problem standing in front of a federal court judge and clarifying and defending my actions in regards to you, Mr. Knapp. Did you say that, Mr. McCann, when you were chief on city letterhead? So, oh, you want to plead the fifth now? Okay, gotcha. That's how that's going to go. Or maybe, so Mr. Mayor, is that your final answer? And it comes back to, yeah, basically he said some snarky stuff. And I was like, all right, that's going to look great for the courts. And I gave these people multiple opportunities to back out. I begged them. But every one of you thinks I'm stupid, right? You think that I don't know what I'm doing. Dudes, ladies, gents, I've been doing what I've been doing since day one. Go back and ask Michelle, my first supervisor, when I asked her, I said, you telling me to break our code of ethics? No, I'm just saying they may not work with you. You guys don't think I didn't know that going into this? Listening to an NPR podcast where they talk about that and they say, hey, it takes people willing to give up everything to make a change, to make difference. And as social workers, that's all we do is make change. And yes, I am disabled as a veteran. And yes, I am getting my pension. I was trying to go back to work as a social worker and give back. Wasn't trying to make a ton of money. Apparently, like everybody, because again, I just do want to point out the UAW has just put out a video. And again, we support union, right? UAW, we support union. You support union. Explain to me why they're boycotting against the county right now. Because the county commissioners aren't paying the child support workers. And I've been alluding to this in my other videos and online and in posts because I know of it. I've been made aware of it, and I'm sick of it. Like the people that handle all our private information, that handle child support payments and all of that, the things that the commissioners have been ramping up on, getting people charged on, right? Those people are getting paid like barely over minimum wage. Like you could probably make more at a convenience store. They're having to work 2 jobs. Now their insurance went up, all while much of their upper management's making close to or over triple digits. And they put that out in the video. Like if I had thought about it, I would have added the video to this podcast, but I didn't think about it. But check it out. You can find the video. I've reposted it, and I'll post it I think I posted it on my page, but check out the UAW video. I can't go very far without throwing like a stone and hitting corruption. But I've never truly believed how deep it could get until recently. That they would go so far. I mean, after all of the everything, he snaps over that in the middle of a meeting. Like there was nothing obtuse about that comment. It was innocuous. Like it was just a one-off comment to Garen. Like I just didn't understand why aren't we? Or why don't we? Or whatever it is. Why aren't we? Why are we? That's what it was. Because he said we don't usually excuse these guys. It's $13,000, folks. Well, we're excusing it because it's probably some friends, cousins, brothers, construction company or something. I don't know. There's an awful lot of excusing going along lately. Excusing of loans, excusing of this and that. And the deeper I dig into finances, going back 10, 15, 20 years, the harder it gets to look away. When I've been digging, asking for, issues on Southwest Holdings, which was some sort of a project that Giardini was involved in along with Bradley and others. Again, all these people that were doing all this great work for the city of Lorain that somehow faded off. And then loans are excused and buildings are still left dilapidated. You guys are looking at me like I'm the a-hole, and all I'm doing is seeing every last chip in the armor of that this place is still, anything but a house of cards. And that's exactly what it is a house of cards. And it's going to fall. Honestly, it was Jaslyn that inspired me at the end of that run to really want to run to be like, but I recognize no matter what, this was what I was going to do. This website, this podcast, these things to bring out these matters, and how the election went would have pretty much depended on how this went, right? If I'd won the election, this would just be like a weekly update where I would update my constituents on what's been going on, what I've done, yada yada yada. Now it's going to be a daily 1 hour podcast where we're going to get out information not only on Lorain, but we're going to take it further out into the grander scheme of all these things too. That being said, we're going to look at this through a grand scheme picture as we close up shop tonight. I do want you guys to go to the website, www.aaronnapp.com or aaronnapunplugged.com. Check it out. We're putting out a lot of great content there. But I want you to think about this in each and every one of your towns, cities, across, the counties, across the state. You see a plethora of these videos online of people complaining constantly about being shut down in meetings, being yelled at in meetings, being told, oh, we have to respect you, but you don't have to respect us. People telling, citizens they can't curse even if they're allowed to. People telling people how they can and can't act in these meetings and what's allowed and what's not allowed, even though the U.S. Constitution has consistently decided that these are areas of freedom of speech. And this is what my issue was with the city that night, was you have rules in place. So again, when it fell back to Carrion and he was either unable or incapable of answering, then it fell to Tim Williams, who wouldn't answer. So when I took Carrion out, you notice that's when I finally get up and walk out. I couldn't walk out before him. I couldn't open my back up to him at that moment. And that's not that I thought he would do something grandiose. It's just the PTSD. It is what it is. My bad, right? I didn't know he's gonna double barrel me over an innocuous comment in the middle of a meeting over some boring facts. I mean, again, it was so boring that Joelle moved past it and was moving on before Mary even called it down. That's how quick it happened. Just like they say what happened with Tia was quick, but the way they called that down quick here with Joelle and me and Carrion. But think about that, folks. I was at the new Russia Township meeting the other day, and they wouldn't let one of the new trustees participate who usually got to participate as an alternate because they knew what she was going to say and vote and do. They forced her out, even though the people forced her in and forced out the old trustee. You've got county commissioners doing whatever they want with your money, with your insurance, and with everything. Malls, their influence stretches far and wide. And I just showed you an email recently of Jeffrey Riddell, our county commissioner, soliciting. He was soliciting advice from an attorney who no longer works for the county prosecutor's office, in Dan Petticourt. Now, Daniel Petticourt, who ran for judge, I don't know whether they realized what they gave up when they gave that email up or if they just fought. But thanks to the hard work of Sensei Cobra, a.k.a. Justice for Lorain, a.k.a. whoever the fuck you are. Oh, sorry. That's my 1F. Dude, he's broke open a lot of stuff. He sent all of this stuff to everybody. He put it out on, the webosphere to everybody. And basically, he let everybody know what was going on in advance. And none of the news agencies wanted to listen. So I started picking it up and I started doing the research. And sure enough, once I pulled that string, like he or she or they or whatever said, everything became a lot clearer. And you do have to follow the money. And that goes all the way. I've said it before. This goes all the way up to Neo. It goes all the way up to the State House. It goes where it goes. It follows the money. These are all big name people doing big name people things. I'm just in one little corner of the world fighting one little battle at a time. And as Sun Tzu says, I can lose a lot of battles and still win the war. So the way I see it is the war is the freedom of our country. It's the same war I've been fighting since I joined the military. Our Constitution is what matters. So for those that would sit here and say, why are you so this, that, or the other about it? Well, because I am. Because that's what it means. The Constitution of the United States is not something to be trifled with. Our laws and our rules exist for a reason. Ray Carrion, hardworking man from the streets, just figured he could snap and yell at me. Just like, my 6th Ward councilman, my cigar smoking, doesn't return emails guy, felt he could roll up on me and commit electioneering, bullying at the poll site. Everyone wants to say, oh, this, that, and the other. Look, I was under no obligation to shake his hand. And on top of which, after he's ignored me multiple times, why would I? But why pick that day to confront me when we're out there stumping? So again, like I said, it goes across the board, folks. I'd say this, if you're Republican, if you're Democrat, whatever, everybody should step up and run for office just to get that feel. But it's not for the weak of heart because people are mean. But, for the Republicans out there, a good strategy would be for you guys to start running 1 or 2 people every race. Just pay to run people, even if they're not, going to do much, because it puts Republicans on the ballot. It allows people to register as Republican. It allows you to build the party up. Anyway, all I know, guys, is that, I approached this with the best open heart, open mind situation that I could. But it wasn't to be with the election. And that's okay too, because now we have podcaster Aaron, we have newspaper guy Aaron. I am the editor of Unplugged with Aaron Knapp, and that does mean something to me. This is my brand. I have worked on it for a couple of years. I do have over 170 stories on my Substack that I've reposted onto my website. I have put in the time and the hours of the research to understand what's going on. I have educated myself on the values and the rules of Lorain City, Lorain County. I have looked around at the officials and the people in power, and I have looked for any sign of just doing the right thing, of being good, honest people, and I find little to none of it. Even where I do find it, I find it's co-opted by a monetary evil. When I look through all of the finance reports, and you look through certain finance reports, people that you would typically look at and go, this is a good council person, da 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 da. But all their money comes from city employees. And I don't mean like rank and file. I mean like the mayor and other council people. This is the circle of money. So if you donate to one council person, they circle around and donate it to another, to another, to another, to another. I donated some of my money to the VA. Apologies, to the Post 30. That's where like $40 or $50 of my campaign money, which was like $350, $400 that I gathered, went. But this is how they do it. And they do it Republican, Democrat, it doesn't matter. Everyone, you better just, if you looked at these finance reports, your mind would be blown. And trust me, I have. Again, I have a bazillion stories that still need to be finished. Part 3s, part 4s, part 5s that we haven't even gotten to yet. Documents I haven't gotten to yet. But it's going to be a long, cold winter, folks. So you guys better bundle up, because I got stories. I'm going to keep you warm through the whole winter. That's right. You keep tuning in here to Unplugged with Aaron Knapp, and I'm going to keep you warm every night on those cold nights when you think that there's nothing out there that can get you hot inside. All you have to do is tune in here to hear the latest on how the government is trying to screw you, because that's what they've been trying to do to me. And for anybody that says that they're not, I do have the receipts. I have been proving it. I have been putting it out there to everybody. And this latest episode, the Carrion collision, it's when the minutes become a weapon. And if you've learned one thing or something to do one thing tonight, share it. Share this to a friend, a family member, a moderator, a reporter, an enemy. This content, the files, the footage, the body camera footage are all live. You can go to www.aaronnapunplugged.com. Also, I have my YouTube site. I think it's like Unplugged with ACK or something like that. But you can find it by just going to that. So just go to www.aaronnapunplugged.com. You can find all of my stuff there. And check it out. Add the page, like the page. I also have the Facebook main page where I've been resharing all those articles. Again, I just want to point out all the articles I've shared recently on the page have been older articles. All 170 of my old articles from my Substack are now up and live on my website. And so then I transfer them from the website over to my actual other page, the one that was my political page. It's now just Unplugged with Aaron Knapp. And I've been sharing all those old articles there. So if you want to see them, if you go to my Unplugged with Aaron Knapp page, that's on Facebook, I know it's confusing, but that one has every one of my old stories posted as well. It's just got the new logo on them and the story down below. Just click, you can revisit these old stories. They'll take you right to the website where the stories are now at. And you won't have to go through the clunky Substack, put your email in. It won't ask you for that every single time anymore. You just go right to this site, AaronKnappUnplugged.com, and we will take care of you guys. So remember one thing, guys. I'm Aaron Knapp. I'm going to be here. I'm going to try to do this 1 hour podcast. We're going to put it out every night, once a day. I want you to remember to be lawful, not awful, especially for you law enforcement out there. And always remember, broadcasting without permission is what I do. And I'm going to keep doing it. And I'm going to keep telling the truth until they silence me by putting me in the ground. Otherwise, they're never going to shut me up. Just ask all of my teachers. They'll tell you. I just don't do it. So, again, thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you tonight. Tune in tomorrow night where we'll find some new exciting things to talk about. Again, I appreciate you. I'm going to leave you with a little bit of outro thoughts, some my sponsorship, and make sure to tune in again tomorrow. And make sure you add the YouTube, make sure you add the Facebook page, make sure you add and like everything we got going on to show the love, pass the love on. Also, make sure to check out all of our unofficial sponsors as well. And thank you. I'm going to post my unofficial sponsors up here before we go out, as well as the link to donate if you want to donate. Appreciate you tuning in. And we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Unplugged with Nap. Yeah, we cut through the noise. No script, no leash, no polished decoys. Broadcasting without permission. We don't ask. We lift the curtain and we drop the mask. Unplugged with Nap. Yeah, we cut through the noise. No script, no leash, no polished decoys. Broadcasting without permission. We don't ask. We lift the curtain and we drop the mask. Unplugged with Nap. Yeah, we cut through the noise. No script, no leash, no polished decoys. Broadcasting without permission. We don't ask. We lift.
Here at Unplugged with Aaron Knapp, we like to thank our sponsors. We have a few unofficial sponsors tonight, and they are definitely not paid sponsorships. I want to throw out there a big thank you to Joseph Jones and Eric Jones of the Lorain Daily and the Vermilion Daily. They have a local news page. You should check them out. They do plenty of great work broadcasting all the news that is the news that you want to have in Lorain and Lorain County. So check them out. Also, please, if you need any legal services, feel free to reach out to Robert Gargas. You can find him listed online. He's a fine attorney and comes highly recommended by yours truly. And last but not least, I want to mention DNC Radio. Please make sure you check out one of the up-and-coming internet hip-hop stations and all of their shows. They put on a lot of shows. You have the Never Outdone show. You also have the Eric Bowen show, Speak Up, Speak Out. So please make sure you guys check them out as well if you're looking for your latest and up-to-date hip-hop artistry.
Down to all of our departments and assure that as part of our regular checklist that we have for many projects, that we can visit this. This is not a common area because we typically don't waive fees. So it's one of those areas that we'll revisit here as we move along.
Thank you, Mr. Carrion.
Say something? Then why aren't we? Say something? Then why are we? You want to get an attitude? You work for me, Carrion. Yeah, get it. Do it.
Mr. Knapp, let's have it.
No, your employee is addressing me, sir.
Safe.
No.
Excuse me, President Arredondo?
You better calm down, bro.
President Arredondo?
Madam Sprigalski.
At this point, I would move to a point of order and ask that you recess the meeting until this gets all straightened out, because this is disruptive to our agenda.
Unplugged with Nap. Yeah, we cut through the noise. No script, no leash, no polished decoys. Broadcasting without permission. We don't ask. We lift the curtain and we drop the mask. Unplugged with Nap. Yeah, we cut through the noise. No script, no leash, no polished decoys.